This episode is sponsored by Plod AI. We've all been there. You're days away from a deadline and you remember a brilliant idea from a brainstorming session, but you can't find it in your notes. It's frustrating, confusing, and frankly, a waste of time. Recently, I've integrated Plod AI, that's P-L-A-U-D, into my daily workflow, and it's a game changer for staying organized. Plod isn't just an app, it's a hardware-software powerhouse. I use the Note Pro for phone calls, Note Pen for my in-person meetings, and the new Plod desktop app for all my virtual sessions. With one click, it records everything and generates an accurate, searchable transcript. But the real magic is the Ask Plod feature. I can literally ask questions about a meeting from 3 weeks ago and get an instant answer. It turns every conversation into a searchable asset for me and my team. Stop taking notes and focus. Turn your meetings into actionable insights with the world's most advanced AI note taker. Learn more at plod.ai. That's Plaud.ai. And use the promo code CODESTORY, all one word, to get 10% off your purchase.
So I would say the MVP was myself working as a paralegal and an attorney with no technology. That was actually the MVP, even before having a product. So we were building the product and then we already started getting clients before we even have the first version of it. So we ended up doing that very manually and we learned a lot about our clients. But the first version of the platform was actually a place where you could upload documents, where you could send those documents to the attorney, could provide some feedback, work on them, approve them, and then put it together and send it to USCIS. My name is Ramiro Roballos. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Tuki.
This is Code Story, a podcast bringing you interviews with tech visionaries.
Spent 6 months moonlighting.
There's nothing on the back end.
Who share what it takes to change an industry.
I don't exactly know what to do
took
next.
many goes to get right.
Who built the teams that have their back.
A company is its people.
The teams help each other achieve more.
Most proud of our team.
Keeping scalability top of mind.
All that infrastructure was
Yes, we've been fighting it as we grow.
Total waste of time. The stories you don't read in the headlines.
It's not an easy thing to achieve, mind
Took it
you.
off the shelf and dusted it off and tried it again.
To ride the ups and downs of the startup life.
You need to really want it. Not just about technology.
All this and more on Code Story.
I'm your host, Noah Laupart, and today how Ramiro Roballos is making immigration much, much simpler, making quality, transparency, and communication table stakes. Today's episode is brought to you by .tech Domains, and this one hits close to home. Back in 2016, I was building my startup and went hunting for that perfect .com and found next to nothing. So I did what every founder does, settled. Here's what I wish someone had told me. You're building a tech startup, just get a .tech domain. It instantly tells investors and customers what you're about. Don't overthink it. Secure your .tech domain today from any registrar of your choice. This episode is sponsored by Unblocked. Unblocked is the context layer your agents are missing. It synthesizes your PRs, docs, Slack, and tickets into organizational context that agents actually understand. So they make better plans, write higher quality code, use fewer tokens, and require fewer correction loops. If you're running Claude Code, Cursor, or any agentic workflow, Unblocked is worth a look. Learn more at getunblocked.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by Mesmo. If your team is collecting large volumes of logs, metrics, and traces, but still struggling to get timely answers, Mesmo can help. Mesmo is an active telemetry platform that processes and enriches observability data in real time before it's stored or analyzed. That means lower data volume, lower cost, and faster root cause analysis across your existing observability tools. To see how it works, get a demo at mesmo.com/codestory. That's MEZMO.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by BrainGrid. If you are building with AI coding tools, but your features keep breaking, you need to check out BrainGrid. It is the product management agent for AI builders. BrainGrid turns messy ideas into clear specs, tasks, and prompts that coding agents like Cursor and Claude can actually build the right way. Ship real software, not fragile prototypes. Start free at braingrid.ai. Ramiro Roballos grew up in Buenos Aires and 6 or 7 years ago moved to Miami and now lives in Buffalo, New York. His path to entrepreneurship has been different as he started out as a musician and then an orchestra conductor for several years. He eventually got into building his own company, starting his own music school and his own orchestra. Eventually, he got his MBA, worked for McKinsey and some startups before doing his own. But outside of tech, he's married to a celloist and keeps playing music for fun. He also enjoys Formula One and watches every chance he gets. Ramiro went through the immigration process in the US and was very disappointed in the quality of the service, given the importance of this process in determining a pillar life outcome. He felt there should be a better way, one that has excellent service and quality, and centralizes the expansive process into one platform. This is the creation story of Tuki.
Essentially, it was out of personal frustration of my own green card process, of being stressed, not knowing what was happening, having zero visibility, going through many mistakes from the attorneys, a long back and forth, and just like an overall feeling that it's one of the most important processes of your life when you're going through that, and that determines where you and your family can live, if your business can thrive or not. It's really an essential thing, and you should have an excellent service, an excellent quality, and I didn't get that. Talking with many immigrant friends, I saw that was a trend. It was not the exception, so there should be a better way. And basically what we did is a tech-enabled service. So we, at the end of the day, provide a service. We have our own immigration attorneys that work full-time with us. They still remain independent because legally the attorney needs to be independent. They need to be the one making the legal decisions. So we are always working under the supervision of these licensed, very experienced attorneys. But then we build an entire platform and workflow so that the actual process is way more efficient. Some of these petitions that you send to the government, sometimes they might have more than 1,000 pages, sometimes more than 2,000 pages. It's a monster to put together. So basically our product is this platform where everything happens in there. So forms, letters, document collection, review, AI feedback, AI drafting, writing the legal argument, just putting together the entire thing and all the connection between the companies, the immigrants, and the attorneys.
Let's dive into what you would consider the MVP, Ramiro, of Tuki, that first version of the product you built. How long did it take to build, and what sort of tools were you using to bring it to life?
So I would say the MVP of the service was myself, working as a paralegal and an attorney with no technology. That was actually the MVP, even before having a product. So we were building the product, and then we already started getting clients before we even have the first version of it. So we ended up doing that very manually, and we learned a lot about our clients. But the first version of the platform was actually a place where you could upload documents, where you could send those documents to the attorney, could provide some feedback, work on them, approve them, and then put it together and send it to USCIS. I would say that from the first line of code until we had a usable first version to do a case end-to-end, it was probably 6 months, I want to say.
So this is interesting, given that the MVP was you as a paralegal. I'm curious about, there's probably a pivot point or a tough decision you made that became a cornerstone in how you built the platform. I'm curious about that decision and how you coped with it.
One decision we made very early on was that nothing was going to happen outside of the platform, which is more complicated than it sounds. So I'll give you an example, right? Let's say you have something in the platform that is going to create the legal argument that is 20, 30 pages, right? And you have many things there. You have references, you have format, you have several details, the signature, etc. So if you allow the user to download that into a Word document and then make some final edits on the Word document, then you can be very flexible, because if there's some mistakes, some things that are not perfectly worked out in the platform, it's not really such a big issue because then you download in the editable form and then you modify it. Or similar with forms, like the immigration forms, most platforms I've seen out there, that's what they do. Like they pre-complete a version of the form and then you download it and then you can keep editing it, which is great because it gives you a lot of flexibility. But for us, even though we understood that flexibility, we didn't want to have two sources of truth, right? Because once you do that, and then there are things happening outside of the platform, then you end up paying for all that flexibility that now there's two sources of truth and some things might happen outside of the platform. And also, if that doesn't hurt you, you're not going to improve the platform because it's not a problem, you just work it outside of it. But then you lose visibility and then you lose a lot of things for the future. So I think that was the one huge decision we made early on. It has been very painful, to be honest. It's not easy, but then that has really given us a North Star on how to develop and how high the bar is to make this work. And then in the long run, it makes everything way more organized and you have 100% transparency of what's happening and 100% control.
This message is sponsored by Pilot. The thing that gets founders is this. You can look profitable on paper and still run out of cash. They need a platform to give them a real-time view into their books. And that's where Pilot comes in. Pilot is an accounting platform built specifically for venture-backed startups. They handle your books, tax prep, and CFO-level guidance, so you have investor-ready financials from day one. They've worked with companies like OpenAI, Lattice, and Airtable, and they get how startups are structured in a way that a generic accountant just doesn't. Pilot gives you a complete real-time view into your cash position, like burn rate, cash flow modeling, and runway, so you're never caught off guard. And when investors or board members ask questions, the answer is just there. If you're buried in bookkeeping, who's leading the company? Pilot handles the books so you can get back to building. Check out the link in the show notes to claim your discount. Today's episode is brought to you by .tech Domains, and this one hits close to home. Back in 2016, when I was building my own tech startup, I went on the hunt for that elusive .com. Looked high, looked low, and guess what I found? Nothing. What I did find cost me an arm and a leg. So I did what every founder does under pressure. Threw in extra letters, settled for the less than optimal name. And here's what I wish someone had said to me back then. Noah, you're building a tech startup. Just get a .tech domain. Tech startup, .tech domain. It could not be more obvious. It tells investors, customers, and anyone who looks at your website, really, that tech is at the core of your build. And I've kicked myself plenty since. Especially when I see the clean and sharp names tech companies have landed on .tech. Nothing.tech, 1x.tech, Aurora.tech, CES.tech, Ultra.tech, Alice.tech, Neon.tech, Blaze.tech, Pi.tech. You get the idea. So take it from someone who learned it the hard way. If you're building a tech startup, don't overthink it. Secure your .tech domain today from any registrar of your choice. So then moving forward, I'm curious about how you progressed and matured the platform with that North Star in mind. And I'm curious about how you built your roadmap, how you went about deciding that, okay, this is the next most important thing to build or to address with Tuki.
When we started day one, bear in mind that we started developing this around June of 2023, even before there was a real company, like just an idea and just a few guys coding. It was like 3-4 months after the big explosion of ChatGPT. So we were all embellished and super excited about AI. So day one, we were significantly more focused on applying AI to everything. I think after a few months of working on this, we realized that there were so many more important things to build before you really double down on AI. So just building the workflow, the pipes, the infrastructure to upload documents and review and comment and interact with people. So I would say that first year we did have a yearly roadmap, and that was the last year we did a yearly roadmap because it ended up being useless. Because you don't know what you don't know, and no matter how smart you are or how smart you think you are, once you're doing something completely new, you end up learning so much about the reality of the job you're doing that priorities switch very often and you end up doing things you never thought you were going to do. I'll give you an example. We ended up building an internal chat within Tuki, and that was something that was completely out of my radar when we started, but then it proved to be essential because it doesn't matter how perfect your system is with comments and everything. You want to have a communication with people. And again, if things are happening through email, then you stop having visibility and you no longer have a source of truth. So if you want to avoid that, you need to have something else. And that was something we realized more than a year and a half in. That's my point. So at this point in time, we don't do any yearly planning. We do quarterly, and we do have a backlog of very important features that we have. And then once a quarter, we meet with the entire team and we decide what we're going to prioritize. But again, at least this early, at least for us, it doesn't work to plan beyond 3 months.
I hear you saying we. Tell me about how you built that team, and what did you look for in those people to indicate that they were the winning horses to join you?
My co-founder, we have been friends now for 8 years. We worked together back at McKinsey many years ago. Even though I told you I became technical, I became an amateur technical, right? So I did 2-3 years of coding. So I can code, I can build an app, but that was not my main profession. So he has a PhD in computer science. He has been in academia. He has been doing very complex things for a long time, and he's great. And beyond being great technically, he's a great person. He's very honest. I think we share many values. And again, we're very good friends. So I think he was the perfect person for the job. So very early on, when I started building this a few months later, I reached out and he was excited enough to join. And then honestly, like developers, they were people that I already knew from before, that we have been working together or studying together or doing technical things together. And after that, actually, we had to recruit most of folks from new. Like we met them for this job. And basically, I don't trust myself to choose the right person after a few interviews. So what we do is we do a very extensive process. So we start the process typically by asking candidates to do something. It can be a very simple thing that takes you 30 minutes, 1 hour, but we want to see how they think and how they do things. The ones that do that in a way we like, we interview them. And then once we like them in the interview, we give them like a test period of 1 or 2 months. And if they have another job, we ask them not to quit and just work for us for 1 hour per day, 2 hours per day. And only after working with them for 1 or 2 months, only then we are fully convinced to hire them.
This episode is sponsored by BrainGrid. Building with AI coding tools is exciting until the moment things start breaking. You ask for a small change and suddenly 3 other features stop working. AI gets confused, misses edge cases, and loses track of your intent. The problem is not code generation. The problem is planning. That is why BrainGrid exists. BrainGrid acts as your product management agent. It writes clear specification, maps UX flows, asks the clarifying questions you forgot to ask, and breaks big ideas into engineering-grade tasks that AI coding tools can build reliably. It guides Cursor, Claude Code, Replit, Windsurf, and others so they deliver features that work and keep working. Founders use BrainGrid to build real AI-native SaaS products without a technical background. If you want reliable features instead of fragile prototypes, try BrainGrid for free at braingrid.ai. That's braingrid.ai. This episode is sponsored by Mesmo. If you're responsible for reliability, performance, or platform architecture, you already know the problem. Telemetry volume is growing faster than teams can manage it. Mesmo addresses this by moving observability upstream. Instead of storing everything and asking questions later, Mesmo processes telemetry in motion, filtering, transforming, and enriching logs, metrics, and traces before they reach your observability backend. The result is cleaner data, reduced ingestion costs, and faster root cause analysis using the tools you already rely on. Mesmo integrates with platforms like Datadog, Dynatrace, and open source stacks, giving teams more control without adding operational overhead. This is especially useful for platform engineers and SREs supporting complex distributed systems where context and speed matter. To see how active telemetry works in practice, get a demo at mesmo.com/codestory. That's mezmo.com/codestory. Let's move into scalability. This will be interesting because scale can be so many things. It could be technology, it can be people, it can be business, all the things. Tell me about how you thought about scale in the early days. And maybe what I'm really curious about is, have there been interesting areas where you've had to fight scale as you've grown?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we are obsessed about scalability because, again, we are doing a service. We're not a B2B SaaS. And traditionally, scale is where services die or really struggle because you depend on people. And that's what, in our industry, in US immigration, has historically prevented people from growing quickly, because at some point, the demand outgrows you and then you cannot provide good service anymore, and then you are swamped, and then people stop recommending you and everything becomes an issue, right? So I think that's our main challenge, and not just ours, but anyone trying to do AI or tech-enabled services. So we have been always obsessed about that, and we are very methodical. So we have been doing things from measuring exactly how many minutes each task takes for each person, doing a lot of sessions with them, developers or product people literally looking over the shoulder of an attorney, seeing what they do, and getting ideas constantly just to improve that efficiency, especially in a process where it's a death by 1,000 cuts. There's no one single thing that really kills the productivity. So we are all the time obsessed about how to do that and how to make this as efficient as possible. And that's from an operational perspective. And then in terms of people, again, the more people you add to a team, the more connectivity, the more connections are, and the more bureaucratic everything gets. So we actually do a very proactive effort not to hire. And then we only hire when it's really hurting or where we really think it strategically is really important. But consciously, we try to push against that growth in headcount because of that reason.
Ramiro, as you step out on the balcony and you look across all that you've built with Tuki, what are you most proud of?
I am proud of the team we built, the team pushing this forward, and I'm proud of how high the bar it is for us to providing the best service. I think many times, I'm a big fan of Pareto, the Pareto principle, that you can get 80% out of 20% effort, 80% of the value from 20% of the effort, but I don't think you can do that rule for everything. And sometimes you just need to be the absolute best at something, and you need to go to the absolute limit. And I think that you can see that, and I'm very proud of us doing that in many ways. And sometimes even where I think that we are the benchmark in that particular feature or way of doing things, just keep improving it because we know that there's more out there, and that's what immigrants and companies deserve. And I like to have that bar and do it just because someone needs to do it. And it's not just about being practical, but really about aiming to be the complete standard and to really reinvent how these things are done.
Let's flip the script a little bit. Tell me about a mistake you made and how you and your team responded to it.
One of the biggest mistakes we did was taking too long to focus on organic initiatives of marketing. So we were always very product and service focused, and we still are. But some initiatives of marketing, especially awareness and organic and SEO and social media, they take a long time to develop. And I think we were too obsessed about service, about product, about all these things that we left that avenue without a real effort for a long time. And now it's working well, but again, it's taking so long that I think we should have started probably a few years early just to be at the point where we would like to be right now in that regard.
This episode is sponsored by Unblocked. Your coding agents have access to your code base. Maybe you even connected other tools via MCPs, but access doesn't mean context. Agents can't reason across MCPs. They don't know your architectural decisions, your team's patterns, or why the API was shaped the way it is. So agents look in the wrong place and deliver bad outputs. Then you spend time correcting. More loops, more tokens. Unblocked is the context layer your agents are missing. It synthesizes your PRs, docs, Slack, and tickets into organizational context that agents actually understand. So they make better plans, write higher quality code, use fewer tokens, and require fewer correction loops. If you're running Claude Code, Cursor, or any agentic workflow, Unblocked is worth a look. Learn more at getunblocked.com/codestory. Okay, Ramiro, let's move forward then. What does the future look like for Tukey, for, the platform you've built, the product, the team, where the world and the industry is going? Tell me about all the things.
So I think the future for us is still to build, to go above and beyond with the level of automation and technology we have. And for me, for example, AI implementation is mostly with two tracks in US immigration, and I would say broadly on law. One is catching mistakes and quality control and quality review, and the other one is drafting. Those are, I think, the two things. So I think we still have a long way to go there to really make the human's role be most a quality check, a criteria decision, and more the human interaction with folks versus doing repetitive tasks. So I think there's a lot of automation there still to be made. And I think the future is probably long-term expanding even beyond immigration at some point. I think all the technology and all the expertise we build is, of course, very centered right now in immigration, but I think it could be extensible to other areas. And I think for us, the future is to keep improving processes, to keep making really bureaucratic and paper-heavy and annoying processes much simpler and faster for people.
Let's switch to you, Ramiro. Who influences the way that you work? Name a person or many persons or something you look up to and why.
I honestly pay a lot of attention to a lot of entrepreneurs and what they say. I think the internet right now is a great source of learning. Just being on social media, on X, seeing what people say, what they think about, listening talk, seeing how they did certain things. And I think you can learn a lot if you're just aware and learning about that. I've also attended a lot of communities like Endeavor, L-Band, Stanford, or even 43 North here, Tampa Bay Wave, like many accelerators or group of entrepreneurs. I think it's always really refreshing to learn from different people and how they do things and ask a lot of questions. So I don't know if I have one person that has particularly influenced the way we work or I work or think, but I think many people. And also during my time at McKinsey, I was there for 5 years, I think I learned a lot from other McKinsey people or clients. Again, I've been fortunate enough to work with probably more than 25, 30 companies or groups. And again, I think you learn a lot from many people, many different things, and then it's your responsibility to see how to implement that.
Last question, Ramiro. So you're getting on a plane and you're sitting next to a young entrepreneur who's built the next big thing. They're jazzed about it. They can't wait to show it off to the world and can't wait to show it off to you right there on the plane. What advice do you give that person, having gone down this road a bit?
I always think about two things. My first one is to enjoy the journey, because I think many times we entrepreneurs all the time in the future and thinking about when you do the next thing, when you raise the Series C or A or get the big client or hire these people or become profitable or whatever it is that your goals are. And I think it's a stressful process and a long process. And I think sometimes it's easy to not enjoy what you do. And I think it's a very fortunate position to be able to achieve your dream, to do what you like, to hire people, to do all these things. It's a privilege. And I think with all the responsibilities and pressures, it's very easy to not enjoy that. And at the same time, I think it's really important to be consistent strategically with things. So what I mean by that is your funding strategy, your go-to-market, the type of business you have, the type of things you like doing, the type of people you hire, the unit economics, like everything needs to be aligned, because sometimes raising money can be a great idea. Sometimes it can be a really bad idea. Sometimes hiring certain people can be a great idea or not. And it all depends on all the other factors. And I also think it's very easy to not connect all those dots and have different strategies for different parts of the business. And then that's going to bite you in 4 or 5 years. So I think just making a conscious effort of connecting those dots and making sure your funding, your team, your long-term goals, your go-to-market, your type of product, and the things you're good at are all connected is really important.
Couldn't agree more with that. That's fantastic advice. Well, Ramiro, thank you for being on the show today, and thank you for telling the creation story of Tukey.
Thank you so much for having us.
And this concludes another chapter of Code Story. Code Story is hosted and produced by Noah Labhart. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting app of your choice. And when you get a chance, leave us a review. Both things help us out tremendously. And thanks again for listening.
Capital One's tech team isn't just talking about multi-agentic AI. They already deployed one. It's called Chat Concierge, and it's simplifying car shopping. Using self-reflection and layered reasoning with live API checks, it doesn't just help buyers find a car they love. It helps schedule a test drive, get pre-approved for financing, and estimate trade-in value. Advanced, intuitive, and deployed. That's how they stack. That's technology at Capital One.